Welcome to my Architects Artistry, where we explore the arts in our area. So today I have a really cool conversation with the featured artist for Artini. Um, but before we have that conversation, I'm going to go ahead and do what I normally do. You guys know. There's a lot of events this weekend. It's kind of crazy, the amount we have. Um, so don't say you don't have nothing to do because there's at least two food festivals and a few other things. So, and the EDM show that we talked about last week with Lomax, DJ Lomax. Um, he is going to be he's going to be talking about that. Or we will that event's happening that we talked about. So we're going to go over that too. So let me go ahead and bring you guys over to that. All right. So first, today at 4:30, Centenary College is holding its Beast Feast 2025. It's the long, they've been holding it for a few years, but they're returning it now that I understand. So they're gonna feast, roast a pig roast, and they're gonna have a bunch of other foods and vegetarian options. You pay your set amount. The funds go to a scholarship fund for the students at Centenary College, so it goes to a good cause. And you pay $25, and 12 and under is free. And you get to sample all of the different cooking like competitors who are trying to earn like the best in the Beast Feast. So it's a competition for food and all kinds of other cool things. Local group Pepper Pals is gonna have lava noodles there. They're really spicy, so if you like spicy food, it's worth trying. Um, okay, so additionally, Taco Wars is also happening today. Taco Wars is part of Prize Fest organization. It's one of their big competitions. This one specifically for who has the best tacos. It's going to be in downtown Shreveport at the Shreveport Municipal Auditorium in that area. Um, they're going to have sweet treats and cold beers and live music. So a lot of community stuff is going to be happening. So if you're interested in going to Taco Wars, you could check it out here on Taco Wars 2025. Look for this graphic. All right. Also today, another big event that's happening today, 50th anniversary for Spring Bloom celebration. This is for the American Rose Center. It's their 50th anniversary celebration. So for Spring Bloom. It's definitely worth checking out if you can. It starts at 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. today. So it's already started, but you got till 5 p.m. to get around to it if you want to go to that. If you don't know where the Rose Center is, it's on the 8877 Jefferson Page Road in Shreveport. So check it out. Additionally, another thing, this was our last week's interview. Strange Music for Nice People. It's a visual audio show that is EDM and a visual experience with light and sound. So definitely check that out. It's going to be at Bears tonight. A few of the DJs, DJ Lomax, and a few of the DJs for Ronca Base, who are also previous guests. They are some of the people I've spoken to going to be performing that night. So it'll be fun if you're a regular. So you probably seen them on our thing. So check that out at 8 p.m. tonight. It's at Bears, 1401 Fairfield Avenue. Okay, since May's coming up, I'm going to go ahead and mention the downtown Shreveport Art Walk is May the 7th from 5 to 8 p.m. And they're going to look for their Facebook page. There's going to be an entire list of things, um, people that's going to be on the walk. So you want to keep up with the artists and what the spots to be are. They probably do historic tours. They usually do that. It's fun. And that's going to just be downtown generally, downtown Shreveport. So the Vampire Quarter, Shreveport's holding artsy idea, like the goth idea of a nightclub, and they're turning Coyotes into a goth nightclub. It's going to be an experience for people that are just curious about what it's like, the music goth's like, and the atmosphere goth's like. So they're inviting people to come your gothiest and come and enjoy a fun event where they're going to have creepy goth vendors and other cute things of that nature. And some of those artists are really great artists. The painters, they do beautiful work. Moonlight. I'll have to link you guys when I write the article so that you can check out this event. Moonlight Artisans, I think is their names. Artini. So today's interview is with Eric Francis. He's the featured artist for Artini this year. Um, if you don't know what Artini is, it's Bossier Arts Council's uh, big fundraiser event that they raise funds for all their programming throughout the year. A lot of nonprofits like these organizations like Bossier Arts Council, they run these fundraisers to support their programming, and it's how they exist. So this is very important for the arts. If you want to support arts in Bossier and Shreveport, they often work with both, like just area artists in general. You know, they're really cool people. Eric Francis, his art is amazing. He is a muralist and a realist painter. So you can see here is one of his paintings. This is his culturalist profile. Here's some of the mural work he has done. So he does absolutely stunning mural work. These are on buildings. He works with Cadavian Baylor often, but he does really great realism, uh, deep color murals. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and let you see that interview. I'm not going to hold you up. So please keep in mind that at some point I will have to cut in for a break. So just bear with me and we'll continue the interview right after the break is done when we get to that point. All right, enjoy, guys. Hello, I'm Brittany Hazelton, and this is Architects Artistry, where we explore the arts in our area. Today, we have a realist muralist that has been selected to be the featured artist at Bossier Arts Council's big fundraiser event, Artini, this year. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Eric Francis, and of course, I'm an artist, I'm a muralist, I teach, and I'm also a museum coordinator.
All right. So first, let's go ahead and talk about Artini and this year's theme, and how do you feel it pairs with your art style?
Well, first, I was just so excited when they reached out to me about being the featured artist for Artini. It's such a wonderful event, and it's for a really great cause. And
Yes.
the way I feel that it ties into me is that, when you're doing art, music is always around, and the theme is on the one. And on the one is almost like a jazzy thing, and I believe it was popularized by James Brown. If you ever listen to a James Brown song, he's like, on the one, on the one, on the one. I love that. And then it's also monochromatic, and I love monochromatic paintings, just one color. And you do your magic. I love that. I love color too, but I like working with monochromatic colors.
I love personally from all the work I've seen of yours. I love the style. It has a very like it has the kind of the shades kind of are like separated, but it's realistic at the same time. It's like cell shade, but also realistic, and I feel like that goes with the jazz because jazz was something that is very real, a very real, soulful music that speaks to the heart of what we are, and a lot of your work seems to do the same. I feel like, personally.
Absolutely. I love that you said that because I try to put that in the work. Try to put that soul, that feeling, that sort of rhythm in the work. And when people say things like that to me, it just brings me so much joy.
Oh,
Because I really do. I try to add that little thing, that little something that's not being said. You know,
Yeah.
the soul, the music, the movement, the realism, all of that trying to come together. It seems like a difficult task, or it is a difficult task, and when it comes together right, it's just a beautiful thing.
Well, no, as an artist, what we're challenging ourselves to do is to really speak to the soul of a viewer, and I think you do that very well in your work. It has a lot of humanity in it. So I think it matches the theme perfectly, honestly. Um, so, in your opinion, why is this event specifically, Artini and events like it, so important?
Well, it's very important because it supports the arts. You know,
Yeah.
we don't get a lot of support from everywhere else,
Yeah.
and I find that again, it's just a beautiful thing that people are willing to come out, get dressed really nicely and spend their money to support something like this. It's very important. The arts say so much about our community, about our values. When we support an event like this, you're saying art is important, its values are important.
Yeah.
The things that artists do is important because we actually do. We speak to the world. We speak to society. We say those things that sometimes are not really comfortable, and sometimes are. We get to say things that other people don't get to say, and we get to have conversations that other people won't necessarily get to have, and we get to do it in an open forum, and we bring a lot of people together while we're doing it.
Yeah.
So when you support the arts, you're saying that's important, and I believe it is important.
I think it's also important for us, because artists can confront society with big questions and help us, with our struggle to understand our own humanity. I think that's important. And BAC does great work with other artists, with young artists, especially the young, talented arts groups. And those artists, they become part of our community oftentimes, and I think it's important to support that especially. So yeah, thank you for that comment. You brought up a lot of a lot of good points. Um, how about yourself? When did you discover art for yourself in your life? And how did you decide to become a professional artist?
Well, I've pretty much always been an artist. I just didn't know that's what it was. I didn't know there was a name for it.
Yeah.
I was just a creative kid. I used to make my own toys. I was
Aw.
always drawing. And what the reason why I learned how to draw is my mother would send me to the library. She sent all of us to the library. So I'm from a large family. Three
Yeah.
brothers, three sisters.
Oh.
In the summertime, she'd get tired of us in the house, tearing things up and running around. And she really believed in education a lot. So she would send us to the library to get books so we can read. Well, I got all the books on art.
Oh.
I don't know if you remember these books. It was 101 ways to draw a certain thing.
Oh yeah, I
So
remember.
I used to just go through the book and draw everything in the book. And, that's what taught me art. It taught me all the basic principles. And why I decided to become a professional artist is, like I said, I've always been an artist. It's always what I loved. And my parents actually supported me a lot.
That's
It
nice.
was like whatever I wanted to do, they believed I could do. And I believed I could do it because they believed I can do it. So I full speed ahead. I didn't know what to do. I went to an exhibition. It was the first exhibition I went to. It was of an illustrator, because that's what I wanted to be, an illustrator. I was
Yeah.
like, well, how do you become an illustrator? I asked him. He was like, well, you have to go to college. I was like, okay, well, I guess I got to go to college. That's what made me go to college. And from then on, I've been pursuing art professionally in one way or another.
You're lucky because not everybody is so lucky to have that support, in their families for being an artist in their careers. I know some artists that has struggled with parents thinking, oh well, you're not going to make anything, you're not, but there are professional artists that sustain their lives, by just creating art. Being involved in the arts, because it's not just the roles of selling paintings. There's many roles in the arts creative fields. As I understand, you work with Southern University in a field that's related to art, don't you?
Absolutely, absolutely. So I'm a museum coordinator, and
That's a great position.
it's everything that I love And it's all the things that I've been doing while I've been an artist. You know, I've been curating art. I've had shows. I've had to pull people together. I understand that part. But also, when you're an artist, you're also an entrepreneur.
Yeah,
So I understand the
very true.
business of art. And it is a business. And I find that artists fail a lot, not because they're bad at the art, it's because they're bad at the business.
Oh yeah.
You have to really take your business as serious as you do your artwork.
Mm-hmm.
It's a real thing. A lot of businesses fail, not because of their passion and their love. It's because of what they don't know, you know, unfortunately.
Yeah, I feel like that is all. I mentioned that on before. Like I try to tell people on my stream, I'm like, guys, you got. I know it's difficult because a lot of artists we're introverted. We don't like to be around. But the thing about being an artist, if you want to get your vision out there, if you want to be professional, you have to be able to sell yourself. You have to be able to put yourself out there, show your work, and people want to get to know not just your work. Collectors want to know the artist.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they want to like both you and the work oftentimes.
They artwork sells so much easier when you're in the room.
Yeah.
People get to meet you and they see the vision, and all of a sudden they begin to understand, and they really love the thing that you do. And it's almost, I start to feel like that I'm being selfish when I hold myself to myself, right?
Yeah.
It's selfish.
There is a ego centeredness that
Right.
we have to.
You got to get past it because
Yeah.
the world needs what you have to offer, and only you can offer it in the way that you offer it.
Exactly.
There will never be another you. Nobody's going to produce the work that you produce. Nobody.
Nobody.
And it's selfish when you hold it to yourself because it actually belongs to the world. You're actually moving the world forward in a beautiful and in a better way. You really, really are. And once you start to really understand that your work has a purpose bigger than you know, then you're able to produce it, or you're able to put it out there in a better way, you know?
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. And I definitely feel like, especially for the artists that, you know, are too scared or have been scared to put their work out there, you know, come out and meet other artists. They'll help you.
Yeah.
They'll help you get brave. Especially here, I feel like our communities are very, you know, supportive of each other, you know, community.
Yeah, they're really accepting. And the thing is that every artist who's ever produced work has been in the position that you're in. Every single one, from the biggest to the smallest. You just got to really understand that. And it's extremely important that you actually put it out and that you do it. I think that's my number one thing to artists. Just keep working, keep
Oh, yeah.
working, keep working. And you have to become a professional by actually being a professional.
Yeah.
That means you have to show up every day. I oftentimes work without inspiration or anything. It has more to do with discipline.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You honestly, I tell people you don't wait for inspiration to come because, you know, you'll never know how long you'll sit and wait. You know, just start picking up a pencil and just start sketching because the ideas can come to you while you're sketching.
You get the best ideas while you're working. It's
Oh,
while
yeah.
you're working things happen. It's this thing about the way the mind works. If you're moving in one direction, all kind of ideas are going to come to you to keep you moving in that direction.
Yeah.
But if you stop, then all your thoughts are towards stop.
Yeah.
But when you're going, all your thoughts are towards go. So it's almost like you have to keep that thing going. You have to keep it going, and just, you know, try not to get so burnt out. I'm not saying get burnt out or go crazy, but yeah, you just got to keep the thing going.
What I usually do as a mixed media, I'm lucky because like I like if I start feeling burnt out in one area, or like I can just be like, well, I want to do a different medium now, and that keeps me, for me personally, keeps me from being burned out. I find different mediums to experiment in, find different ways to do things, and it keeps me from like, because I'll have like a stretch of 6 months where I'm doing nothing but watercolor. And then I start feeling like I'm not interested anymore. So how do I do the different? Pick up digital, start doing that instead. And it just keeps a fresh cycle for me personally.
I find that too. Like, say, like every 4 or 5 years, I learn some new kind of technique when it comes to drawing. I'm always picking up new media because
Yeah.
I just love it. And then there's living life. Just, live life. Live life.
Right.
Keep your mind on the artwork and you will get ideas. You can use every part of every day to produce work,
Mm-hmm.
because it all goes into the work anyway.
Yeah, pretty much. It's our lives we put into the work.
That's right.
So tell me a little bit about your process from start to finish.
So it's changed a lot over the years. In the beginning, I started off with a sketch. And after I sketched the idea out, I would find like a magazine or something that kind of matched it, and that would be my reference image. And then I'd work from a reference image to create a painting, right?
Yeah.
But I'd work up a really nice drawing, really, really finished drawing. And then I would almost like just put color on it, and that would be the painting,
Yeah.
And I use acrylic paint. Started off using oil. That was in college. Started off using oil, but it just took so long to dry, So I moved over to acrylic. Nowadays, it's so different with all the digital stuff. I just work digitally a lot. And then time. Digital make things go a bit faster for me
Yeah.
because of the setup time. It's not the artwork itself, but digital, you just turn on your computer and you just start working. So now I work my ideas out digitally. I might do a sketch, but usually I'll sketch something digitally, and then I'll get a reference image. I'll go into Photoshop, and then I'll begin to bend and move things around.
Yeah.
And then I'll make a sketch out of it, and then I'll move it over to the canvas. So before I used to draw everything on the canvas. Nowadays, I project things on the canvas.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if you use projector. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because I used to just draw everything, and then I was using the grid method. And nowadays, I just project. I realize now that I can actually draw. I don't feel like I'm cheating.
Yeah,
'Cause
well,
I used to feel like I was
if
cheating,
you know
but
you
I'm not.
draw, why not? Yeah.
Yeah, I used to measure my drawings with the pictures by. I put it in Photoshop and I put the drawing over the picture to see how exacting it was, and I was almost like 98% accurate. I'm like, man, I'm just wasting time. I could just project it and do it that way. So I just started doing it that way, and
There's
it's
nothing wrong with that.
easier. There's no cheating when it comes to art. Man, when I started to get out in the art world, I started to realize all these ideas I had in my mind, they were nonsense. There's no book on how to create art and how to make it right.
I think we set a lot of, like at first, until we kind of free ourselves of it, we set a lot of rules on ourselves
Yes.
that we don't need to necessarily abide by. You know, we can break those rules. I mean, art is kind of about breaking rules. You know.
Absolutely. We burden ourselves unnecessarily by putting these rules on top of us, and we really feel bad when really you shouldn't. What you have to do is get to know other artists. I know artists that produce these really amazing works that can't draw at all.
I mean, yeah.
They figured out a way to make it work.
Sometimes I see artists, they collage something together to create the image, right? Okay, guys, so this is time for that short little commercial break that I was talking to you about. So I'm going to go ahead and get that started, and just bear with me, and we'll get right back to the interview. They may
Yeah.
not draw it, but they'll take a bunch of images from like magazines or pictures or photographs of people, and they collage it together in the shape that they want it. They'll like get a picture of a hand, put it in Photoshop, adjust it the way they want it, and then they'll draw over the hand, and then they'll paint it because they can paint.
Right.
But it's like, yeah, but I need the image first, and that's still collage is still a thing, right? Why can't we collage work in something to help craft the image that we want in our minds?
Exactly. I'm to the point where it's about the end result for me.
Yeah.
It's about the image that I have in my brain and trying to get it out there in the most efficient and beautiful way possible.
Yeah.
I'm not so concerned about, projecting and photoshopping. That's really of no concern.
Yeah.
I just want to get it out there as quickly and as beautifully as I possibly can.
That's what matters.
Yeah, the end really matters. And in the process, I love the process. I think I might slow myself down a little bit because while I'm painting, I'm just standing there and I'm staring at it and I'm like, man, this is working out really good. I think that's the beautiful part about growing in art. I used to tear myself apart a lot. I don't do that anymore. I enjoy everything from beginning to end.
That's great. Yeah, I think a lot of artists have self-confidence issues. I mean, your work's never going to be perfect.
No.
And there's going to be stages where I heard, another thing I learned, there was this, a thing that it was an article I read where they was talking about when we feel discouraged is usually the time when we're actually growing in what we're doing. And when feel confident, we're kind of at a straight point,
Absolutely.
But when we're faced again with that feeling, it's like, I don't feel like I'm doing as good. That's when we're growing again. It's like it's a cycle that we go through as artists, and I think it's a cycle we just need to accept.
Yeah.
If we feel like it's not good enough, then we will naturally try to make it better.
That's exactly what it is. And I teach classes and I tell students that a lot. The fact that you can see that there's something wrong is beautiful.
Yeah.
Because if you couldn't see it, then you couldn't make improvements. You just can't let that little voice in your head beat you up. It's actually telling you something good. You need to make improvements. And in all honesty, you really do.
And you will work harder to fix that mistake the next time you do your work.
Yeah.
So you don't replicate that mistake. I think it's just our mind naturally just learning the process.
Mm-hmm.
So what advice would you give to an artist wanting to become a professional artist then?
First off, stop looking for perfect situations and perfect times. They don't exist. Keep working.
Yeah.
Keep putting stuff out there. Wherever you can put it out, put it out.
Yeah.
Sell it, and sell it again.
Yeah, definitely show it though. That's you can't sell the work without putting it out there like you were saying. Like, a lot of people are just like, well, I don't like to get it on Facebook or something. And, well, how else are you going to show your stuff unless you're putting it out in some form or media or doing shows, at least exhibitions.
And the thing is, you have one painting, so there's only one buyer of that painting, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that person needs that painting.
Yeah.
They really need it. You're doing something good for their life,
And they got to find it.
They have to find it somehow. I think one of the most beautiful things is that when you finally find people who are buying your art, they match your energy.
Yeah.
All the enthusiasm, energy, and love that you have for your work, they have it. And if they could pay you twice, they would.
Yeah.
I've seen that before where they're just, oh my God, this is so beautiful. I had this idea that I actually had to sell my work.
Oh.
And sometimes you do. You got to talk to people and you have to do the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes they'll see the work and be so captivated by it. They don't want you to say anything. They just want to know, like, all right, so how do I do this? How do I get this work in my hands? And then the energy is matched, and it's such a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Oh, yeah.
You find that artists are friends with their collectors because they match.
Oh,
as
yeah.
much as you love creating it, they love having it, and it's a beautiful marriage.
Exactly. And And you know, those people, and you build those relationships in your life. It is very important to build those relationships with the people who buy your work, because oftentimes they want more of your work. They want
Hmm.
more of the pieces that you've created because of the fact that they have one, you know, and they already have that passion for what you create.
Hmm.
And you know, that's a great way to maintain constant sales. And you know, not to be the business salesy person, but that's a great way to do it, is have a relationship. Every business is built on relationships.
Right.
Ours are the same way, but it's more of a friendship.
Yes.
It's
So,
not just purely a
well,
professional.
yeah, because they actually get to meet you. You know,
Hmm.
you don't actually get to meet the person who makes your electricity.
No.
You don't meet the person who makes your car or produces your iPhone, but
Yeah,
you do meet the person who creates the artwork. And it's
exactly.
a very special thing. You imagine meeting the guy who made the first iPhone or the person who created the internet.
You would
You
have
get
had to been in very tight circles,
to right,
right?
right. But wouldn't it be really cool to know that person?
Yeah, it would. Yeah,
Imagine
I'm
the
sure.
conversations you would have with that person. You know, they get to have that with you.
I think that's also the difference between something that is mass produced versus something that is like of that quality of handmade, handcrafted, hand painted. You know,
Absolutely.
there's a more personal feeling to it than buying a mass produced print at a store, you know, and then having a real painting with real texture, real, you know, a real thing that you can speak to the person who created it, not
Right.
just an artist that lives in another country you'll never meet.
Hmm.
Right? There's a big difference in that.
Absolutely.
Um, so, can you so tell me a little bit more about your work with Southern University. You said you're hosting shows. Or how many do you like? How many have you done? Are you planning on doing them very regularly?
Yes. So we do shows about every 2 months. Right now we have Charles the artist. Very
Yes.
interesting fellow. Very interesting
Oh
fellow.
yeah, I actually interviewed Charles the artist here on my show, and I went and visited and ran into you there, and went to
Hmm.
see his show. It's amazing work. He's kind of like us in the sense that acrylic painting is much quicker and that oil is way too slow. You know, he's a very impatient person, kind of like I am. I'm like, even when it's not, even acrylic painting, if it's not dry quick enough, I'm still working somewhere on the painting, you know. He's a great artist, and I'm glad that you also had Hillary Fraser, I believe.
Yes, we had Hillary Frazier before him, and yeah, she produces some amazing work
Oh yeah,
also. I
she
think
does.
that's one of the things I wanted to get involved with. You know, being a museum coordinator, I get to put the art out there. I
Yeah,
really like putting artists in a very positive light.
yeah.
You know, and being able to promote their work is such a joy and such a pleasure for me. You know, I love that part of the job.
So how do you come about deciding who you're going to showcase in the exhibitions?
So generally, I know the artist. It's not absolutely necessary. I would like to at least know their work, and they
Yeah.
just have to reach out to me. You know, I like to book all the shows a year in advance. So right now, I'm putting together next year's schedule.
Oh
We're
wow.
gonna have maybe 6 to 4 shows a year.
Nice.
6 to 4 just depends. You know, it depends on the schedule and what we have going on.
Okay, well, I'm happy to see you guys doing these shows now. I look forward to covering more of them in the future.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah. All right. So how can people follow you on social media? You and your work.
Oh, great question. All right, you can find me on Instagram as Eric Francis Artist, or you can also find me on Facebook. You look up Eric Francis Art or
Yeah.
Eric T. Francis Art,
Okay.
and then I do videos. Oh, I used to do videos, but they're still out there because people ask questions about how I make these paintings look the way they look. You can find me on YouTube as Eric T. Francis Art, yeah,
Okay.
or just Eric T. Francis.
All right. I'll definitely make sure that these are linked in the article. So, guys, if you see this and you want to follow Eric, check the article that's paired with this video so that you can find all the links and some images of him and his work.
Oh, absolutely. And then one more thing. Stop by the museum. We're at 610 Texas Street, right? It's a wonderful, wonderful place. So it really showcases African and African American art. We have two floors. First floor is our rotating collection. On the second floor, we have our permanent collection.
That's
It's
beautiful.
Yeah, African art and artifacts. It's amazing. There's nothing like it in North Louisiana. So you come by and take a look.
And also, guys, support Bossier Arts Council and check out their exhibitions as well.
Absolutely. Oh, I am looking forward to seeing everybody
Oh, yeah.
for Artini. It's going to be amazing.
It's going to be. Definitely get your tickets, guys,
Yes.
because they sold out last year, the year before, I believe, so get them when you can. It's in June, so I don't remember exact
It's
date.
June 14th.
June 14th. So definitely get your tickets before then because they'll probably sell out before then. And I think it's at Live Casino this year.
Yeah, it's
so.
at Live Casino.
All right. Well, is there anything else you'd like to say, Eric?
Just thank you for having me. This was great. I love talking about art.
Me too. All right. Thank you.
All right.
We'll talk again probably
Absolutely.
sometime. Okay, guys, so that was my interview with Eric Francis. He's an amazing muralist and a great realist painter. I love his work, especially that painting he had behind him with the boy. That painting is so beautiful up close. The woman, he told me after the show, he's like, oh, I've been experimenting with airbrush some, and you can see it really in the photograph of the painting of the woman. I'm gonna put those in the article so you can see them up close and have a good view of them, of him holding them. So definitely check out the article on KSLA.com under the hamburger menu. Go to podcasts, and then my section will be architects artistry. You can find all of my long form interviews on there alongside the articles that I write with them. You also follow me on Facebook. You can check me out and follow me on Facebook if you want to see when I'm talking about these events that are coming up. And sometimes I post pictures of me at the events with some friends, other artists, and show some pictures of the environment and the artists so you can see some of them with their work. So. Also, guys, remember to like, support, follow, comment on other artists' work. If you like their stuff, buy it. If you really want to own, if you can't own the print or the painting because it's too expensive, buy a print. These prints are very beautiful, and some artists do limited runs. You can get one. You can get something pretty and affordable in your house, and support the artist in the same way. Instead of buying a decor shop like fake painting mass produced. Okay. Thank you again, guys. I love you guys. Hope you have a really good weekend, and I'll see you for my recap on Wednesday at 11 for this specific for this specific event. It's coming up soon, so again, buy your tickets for Bossier Arts Council. All right, guys. Well, you guys take care. And again, see you next Saturday for our next dinner.